Chapter 9. Ryan. I told John so on Wednesday morning. I'd slept much the same, a few hours, then jolting awake with a car swerving under me, grabbing for controls I couldn't reach in time. I got up about 6:30 and went for a run. If anybody had seen me doing this a week ago, they'd have thought they were having the bad dream. John rubbed the bristles on his chin. He shaves maybe twice a week. You sure about this, mate? Of course I was bloody sure. What the hell did my stepfather know about what was going on in my head? I made myself answer as calmly as I could. I have to know. See if I can do anything. John nodded slowly. Let me square it with your mum first. We shut up as my mother came through. She was smiling, still on a high from last night's phone call, but her eyes were sunken. Yeah, John was right. I couldn't load any more stress on her right now. Ash was waiting at the corner again. So was Vince this time. When I told them about her, Tara, I still couldn't say her name easily. Coming off the ventilator, Ash went, "Awesome, mate." Vince looked as if he'd had a year's detention cancelled. Nearly 6 days, and still no sign of him facing up to how much the accident was his fault. It was. If he hadn't been messing around with that DVD, then I wouldn't have. But somewhere inside me, I knew Vince wasn't going to say anything. At interval, I passed the two chicks from yesterday. They took no notice of me, and I took no notice of them. 6 days after admission, with the patient breathing normally, the ventilator and lung drainage tubes were removed. A tracheotomy, insertion of a tube into an incision made in the throat, was carried out to clear away mucus and help the patient breathe properly. Later the same day, symptoms of fever appeared. There were discharges from nose and throat. Antibiotics were administered and basic cooling care discussed. Tara. I felt hot again. Netball? No, must be the fish and chip shop. Hey, I knew a fish and chip shop. I wanted to tell someone, but I couldn't make a noise. I tried to swallow. My throat was still sore. It hurts, I wanted to tell someone. It hurts. Ryan. John says you want to see Tara's mother, Mum said when I got home on Wednesday. Leave it a couple more days, love. They'll only be able to handle so much. I keep trying to imagine what it's like for her, what it would be like for me if you were the one. All right, I said. I just want to tell her I'm sorry. Mum put her hand against my cheek. Don't punish yourself too much, Ryan. You can get so wrapped up in hurting yourself you forget what it's for. I was like that after your dad and I broke up. My father, Mr. Non-Event. I hadn't heard anything from him about the accident. Surprise, surprise. I'll be okay, I told Mum. I did some more TKD, high kicks against the punching bag. I worked hard, but I was careful too. I was starting to realise that I had to start building something up, not just smash it down. Polar air and cool cloths were applied to lower the patient's feverish temperature. Insulin infusions to reduce rising blood sugar levels were begun through a tube into an arm vein. Excess blood sugar levels can cause organ damage and death in trauma patients. Ryan. I kept thinking of her all the time. I tried to remember properly what she looked like. Sounds pathetic, but I saw her only those moments in the half-dark. Thursday morning on the way to school, Ash told me that what's-her-name, Mel, and the other what's-her-name, Brittany, had been to see Tara again. She was off the ventilator all right. I felt heaps better. But they're a bit worried she's getting a fever, Ash said, which scared the shit out of me again. These chicks the other day, I told him. They reckoned a couple of her friends want my guts. I half expected him to laugh. Instead, he went, "Yeah, that'll be Brittany. She's a real wild woman. You want me to talk to her and Mel?" Yeah. Then suddenly I knew. Actually, no. I want to talk to them. Tara. Someone was pinching my leg. I tried to twitch away. Then they pinched my arm. Piss off. Leave me alone. On day 7, the patient showed responses to painful stimuli. Her temperature was down and the fever less. It was decided to end sedation to allow tests that would measure the degree of brain damage. The tracheotomy in the patient's throat was regularly checked to ensure proper airway control. Ryan. Thursday evening came and went. A week. In the middle of the night, I had this god-awful nightmare where I was trying to stop someone bleeding while they twisted around on the ground, but hands kept pulling me away. I woke up shuddering and gasping and lay watching the ceiling grow out of darkness as day came. I worked like hell all through Friday's lessons. I tried to anyway, but my mind kept jumping ahead. Ash had told me that the two girls, Mel and Brittany, wanted to meet us at Southside Plaza after school. Tara's fever was down, Mel had said. I saw the girls' high uniforms on a seat outside the shops. 2 of them, 2 of us. Vince had to do some car waxing for his old man, he said. Mel was dark and slim and really cute looking. She gave me a half smile. Brittany was shorter, fair hair and green eyes. No smile from her. She glared at me, then stood up. Come round here. She strode off round the side of the car park building. Mel glanced at us and followed. Ash and I trailed behind. Brittany headed into a playground and lawn area where the kids raced around while their mothers watched. She plonked herself down on a bench. After a second, Mel sat beside her. We guys stood in front of them. The 4 of us probably looked like we were chatting one another up. A woman with a pushchair smiled at us. Then she saw Brittany's face and stopped smiling. What's all this crap for? Brittany demanded. We're supposed to come running if you whistle, are we? Mel shot us another glance. She had long, dark eyelashes. My face went hot. It was none of Brittany's bloody business. But I took 2 deep breaths, like at TKD, and told her, I'm sorry. The green eyes kept glaring. Bit late, isn't it? I said nothing, but I looked straight back at her. The glare switched to Ash as he spoke. It wasn't just Ryan's fault, eh? There was this mate who was mucking around, and she, Tara, came flying out onto the crossing. We never saw her coming. Brittany sneered. Yeah, I knew you guys would stick together. Hell, I didn't have to take this. What, like you chicks are sticking together now? For a moment, I thought she was going to jump up and whack me. Just let her try. Then dark-haired Mel spoke. Her voice was quiet. The girls at school are making paper dolls to send Tara. There's hundreds of them. They've all got messages. Sweet, Ash went. Brittany broke in. Her voice wasn't quiet. She could be a vegetable. They might have to feed her like a baby for the rest of her life, and you're talking about bloody paper dolls? A couple of little kids nearby had stopped playing and stood staring at her. Ash started to say something. So did Mel. My mate was keen on the dark-haired chick, I realised. She was cute, all right. But neither of them could stop Brittany. You guys are useless, belting around in cars and thinking you're big men. Why don't you bloody grow up? She was going to howl. She jumped up, fair hair bouncing, snatched her arm away as Mel reached out a hand and charged off. Mel gave us an embarrassed look, said sorry to Ash, and hurried after her.